What is up, everybody? How is it going out there? Hope you had a good weekend of football. Hope it was a lot better than mine. We didn't have a great weekend in Buffalo. It was pretty bad. I should say Baltimore. But, the fans in Buffalo and myself are feeling a little down. But, thank God fantasy night. It kind of pulled out here at the end for me with a nice little victory. Thank God Jared Goff got that last little touchdown there for me. Helped me out a ton. But let me introduce you guys who got with us today. We got our guy Connor. You guys can jump on in here when you're ready, and Trevor as well. How you doing, boys? How's it going?
Going good. Cheers.
Awesome. How was your fantasy weekends?
It was so for me. I lost a couple of 3-0 teams that always hurts, especially that Kenneth Walker touchdown. That was the last 21-yarder. So
I was one of those 3-0 teams. Or 0-3 teams. Yeah, so I finally got a win in my home league. So that was nice. And then it seemed to bounce back a little bit more. Some of our bigger players seemed to score the points we thought they were going to. So
yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate you.
Maybe it's time to come back down to reality. All these fugazi teams out there scoring all these points on me early on.
Hey, my team was not fugazi. My team just got hit with the injury bug like pretty bad, bro.
That's every team. Every team is going down.
Some teams, speaking of injuries, let's go ahead and go into the big news of the weekend, man. Like the one that really probably stings a lot of us in the heart, fantasy owner wise, man, is good old Rashee Rice, man. Looked like a super stud, well on his way into the top 5 receivers for fantasy this season. And Patrick Mahomes throws a pick, rolls into his leg, probably a torn ACL. All signs are pointing there. We haven't gotten any confirmation yet, but I think that's just more him trying to give him time to get everything settled before it's public knowledge. But my guess is that they're going to end up ruling him out for the year with a torn ACL. So what do you guys think of this news, man? How hard did that hit you?
Yeah, that hurts. I had him, especially like later in the year, I was drafting him a lot, because he was kind of cheaper than he probably should have been, especially with no suspension coming. And so I was drafting him a lot. And so that kind of sucks for those teams. Hopefully, maybe the Chiefs make a move for like Devontae Adams or somebody like that, or maybe sign Michael Thomas or somebody like that. But they're looking rough at receiver right now, especially with
I don't know about Michael Thomas, man. I don't know if you want to go there. That might just be they already got Juju on that roster. You want to add Michael Thomas to the mix now too? Man, that would be – I feel like it's a recipe for disaster right there. There's better options than Michael Thomas.
I don't know about that. There's not many, on the free agency wire or whatever, so –
the Chiefs are known for making moves, man. Make a trade.
Yeah.
Go out there and grab somebody who's like you said, Devontae Adams is not a bad idea just based on the situation in Vegas and what's going on there with him. So, that wouldn't be like a horrible target per se. Doesn't mean that, that's going to be the guy they go after. It just means it's an option. There's also other guys out there that they could potentially go after that, maybe, somebody who either is cheaper than they potentially will be worth long-term, or somebody who is kind of on their way down and on the last legs of their career and looking to kind of snag that last championship and help build that depth, like a nice veteran.
Yeah, that's for sure. I just want to give a shout out to Millie Mills. He just commented on the channel saying he found our channel. Just want to say what's up, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. Happy to be here, I hope. And feel free to chime in anytime you want. We love to answer questions. So feel free to chime in with any questions or anything you want to throw in there. We're happy to hear it. So welcome, Jeff. How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you again. But I feel your pain, man. He says he can't believe he's still alive in these guillotine leagues. And yeah, I was in the same boat with one of them too here towards the end of the game. I thought for sure I was going to miss out just like last week, but thank God
you're cutting it close in two. You're cutting it close in a couple of them.
Man, I'm telling you, man. I just have these last couple of weeks across the board have been rough for my fantasy teams, man. It's been a tough one for me to get through it. And, not only that injuries we talked about, it's just, beyond that with guys that have been getting hurt over the last couple of weeks. So, but, if you can squeak by these types of weeks like this, hopefully the grass will be greener on the other side, right?
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. Now we got bye weeks coming up, so people are going to have to start filling those roster spots that they're losing some of their bigger name players. I forget who's on bye. I know it's the Eagles.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was just thinking about that too. I believe, Eagles as a Lions, another team that's on a bye.
Yeah, Lions are on bye next week, and I know like a couple of the teams, are stacking these players. I know there's one player in one of the guillotines that has like Goff, Gibbs, Laporta, maybe even like Jameson Williams or somebody on there, all on their, guillotine lead squad. So that's a team that potentially, is going to be bidding pretty high this week on players that aren't on bye yet. So I'm going to have to use that that fob. So.
Yeah, right. Or the trades, man. I mean, you hit the waiver wire if you need to, too, especially if you're out there bidding on these guys and you don't end up getting the guys that you want or getting somebody you really need to be able to have plug in for the week. Like, don't be scared to go out there and like use some fob to trade away, that maybe you would have just spent on one of the receivers anyways, right? Like there's going to be teams that might have picked up a receiver and now they're stacked where they have guys they can't play and, they're looking for moves. Maybe you have a running back or some fob you can throw their way. Who knows? So just keep your options open always. Don't get discouraged because you didn't get a guy on the waiver wire that week. And, sometimes they go for so much money, you just can't afford to get them. And
if you're going against one of these guys, you really don't want to trade with them, right? Because they're hurting. So you want to, try to keep the guys away from them, make sure that's the team eliminated. You picked up some guys that have already passed their bye.
I mean, that depends on how you feel about it. I personally don't want to make a decision based on trying to screw somebody else. If it's going to benefit my team and my trajectory long-term for my team, then I'm okay with making that trade if that's what it takes for them to stay alive, but they're going to have to pay for it. They're not going to get a good deal.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to win the trade, but I wouldn't have a problem giving them a player they would need in order to try to survive. As long as I know I'm not going to be one of the teams they're competing with that week.
I'd rather have them give me some fat money than like to be eliminated with their whole budget in their hand. I'll give them a bench player for some fab, get ahead of the waivers, maybe get a better deal than trying to do it after the waivers.
Right. Or you could even swap them like a decent player that, for say that you're sitting with like 4 good backs because you got a back on this week coming up. Right. So now you have 3 backs. You can only play 3. You got 4 solid backs. You really only need to play 2. So, in that situation, if you're sitting on like a kind of suspect wide receiver 2, why not package that wide receiver 2 with your 4th back, and send that to a guy who's in dire straits, but he has like a solid receiver, you know what I mean? Like, and snag that, or even go after a guy like, if you're sitting pretty for the week and he's got AJ Brown, go after AJ, throw him that 4th receiver and a few dollars in fab to get AJ. And then, AJ's coming back in a week or 2 at the most. And, now you're sitting on like a really solid player for the rest of the year. So, a guy that would have gone for over $80 to $100 in fab if he was healthy. So, things like that are stuff like you want to keep your eye on both sides of the board, whether you're on the bottom of the bench, always trying to squeak by, or you're at the top of the food chain, either way, like it never hurts to try to, move your team forward no matter where you're talking.
As we're talking about this, you got Trevor over here just sneaking around putting players on trade bots, trying to get ahead of it right now. So,
I'm sure he might show up in the feed right now when we're talking about these eliminations.
And a little smirk on his face, Trevor's trying to make a move.
That's free advertising right there.
Oh, you gotta love it, right?
Yep.
Awesome, man. Is there any other tidbits from the week that you guys just want to touch on before we get into the leagues?
Before we get into it, what do y'all think is going to be the most popular player drop this week? Is there a guy you think is going to be on the waiver wire
just
in almost
completely
every
dropped?
league? No, just in the the guillotines. Who's going to be on most of the teams? Like the three teams that are going to drop. Yeah.
Who had a bad week that might have made his way across the board?
I mean, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts.
I think Anthony Richardson teams are going to be potentially on the chopping block.
I bet Pitts. I mean, I haven't looked at them all closely. I think Pitts might be one. I mean, he put a donut up, and he was one of the higher tight ends.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of those
I had him and Tucker Kraft on the bench in one of my leagues for the guillotine. Yeah. I think it was the one that I barely squeaked by, to be honest. So yeah, that's definitely a good one. Pitts is one that was real disappointing, and I mean, overall for the season, are you in the boat right now where you basically, I mean, he's pretty much benchable, right? Like for sure you're benching Pitts moving forward until he shows you something.
Yeah, he's down there with Mark Andrews. I can't even play. I've traded away Mark Andrews, every stock of Andrews I've had, the last couple of weeks. Pitts is still in that offense. He's still getting routes and stuff that Andrews wasn't getting, but he's, Kirk is looking 3 or 4 different other ways. That before he even looks Pitt's way. So yeah, I think he's probably Cole Kmet, he might be playing over Pitts moving forward. Like you said, Tucker
Hill. As long as he's not hurt, Taysom Hill,
Tucker Kraft. I mean, some guys that you drafted late that you probably have with the Pitts team because you're trying to cover it. But yeah,
I think Tucker Kraft is an interesting person to discuss a little bit because he's obviously, to me, taken over that number one role from Musgrave as far as like the top tight end in that offense.
I don't know if he took it over. I think he already had it to begin the year. I think, I was saying that at the beginning of the year, he's probably, he was their tight end one.
Yeah. I mean, but I think they both have similar profiles as far as like athletic ability and everything like that. I just think Kraft has had more time healthy in the offense to learn it better, and he's the better player right now, man.
Yeah. So Billy Mills has another good one. Shaheed dropped a donut again this week, I think.
He had like 25 points. Last week was a 0.
Last week was a 0.
No, it looks like he's talking about
Rashee Rice. Yeah, but Rashee Rice, that might be a popular one too, but nobody's gonna pick him up.
We're discussing more as far as like what teams would be the ones that like what player is on all 3 of the squads that get knocked out of our guillotine leagues this week. So
you might just need to explain it. Explain the guillotine leagues right quick for these these new viewers like Millie Mills.
Absolutely, yeah. So for those of you that might not know what a guillotine league is it's basically an 18-man league to start the season, and every week the lowest scoring team in the league gets kicked out of the league, and all of their players go back on the waiver wire for FOB bidding. So basically each week is almost like a playoff type of scenario, and as long as you're not last, then you're first pretty much, and you're able to survive the week. So you want to make sure you can build your team and survive through it, but it's a really competitive and different kind of aspect than any of the other types of standard redraft or best ball leagues.
It's one of those leagues you have to pay attention. You'll see we go down these teams. You have to pay attention to each and every week. It's not it's not something you can take even 1 week off or you're probably out of there. As like I said, as you'll see with some of these teams, they've either forgot to set their lineup or they didn't bid on a player they should have and they had a player out, so it's something that, takes a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah. And you'll see here where with the players that we're about to go over that got picked up from the week prior that, you're talking, first round picks that are available and, the FOB bidding is really intense for some of these players. So, yeah, it's especially this week with some of the teams that were out there that ended up being available. So that being said, what do you think we got to get into it, huh?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to pull up a little screen share here for you guys, and we'll go ahead and start with our Legend of Sleepy Hollow League. And for those of you that aren't aware, this league is actually our original league that we started. So this was the first league that we started for Ballsville as a guillotine league. Trevor and myself run these leagues and are the ones that go in there and make sure that everything is taken care of as far as which team gets dropped and whatnot. So as far as last week is concerned, we ended up losing let's see here. Who was it that we lost last week, guys? Kickstart my memory here. I believe it was Mean Machine. Does that sound correct in this league?
Yeah, that sounds right. No. Cheeky. Was it Cheeky?
JM Hubs.
Oh, you didn't pin it from last week.
Who was it?
It should be pinned in there. Oh, it shows right here, 59.24. It was Cheeky Hobson. You're correct, sir.
Okay.
You are correct, sir. Good job, Connor. That is why you are the co-host, my friend.
You go pin it.
So basically, what you got here is Cheeky Hobson's the team that got knocked out, right? So all of the players from his roster ended up dropping back into the waiver wire. And as you can see on the left over here, on the right side of the screen here, you can see that we had some quite amount of bids and pretty high bids as well. So let's go ahead and move right into the players that were available. Number one on the list, the top dog went for $118. And so you guys know we start with $200 for the year. So that is a full year. So he's basically spent more than half of his full year's FOB in that one purchase. But you're going to see here when we look at this that the actual amount of bids were 10. And when we click on these bids to look at how many there are, you are looking at, $78 is the next highest bid. So honestly, to me, I think that's actually a low for a second bid. I anticipated the second bid to be over 100. So I think that, I wouldn't say that he overbid, but, you see it.
I mean, based on what he did this week, I mean, look at just the first couple players, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and I do believe that the fact that the second bid is so low is also affected by the amount of good players that were available. I think there was a lot of people that did not want to invest too much into one guy because they wanted to make sure they had the opportunity to snag others. So that would make sense more so than, the fact that he overbid because, we've been watching. Guys are going for over $100 every week.
I will say, on your point a little bit, I will say I think that's the highest bid we've had all season in any league.
No, Sean,
because I took a 127, I think it was, right? For
180. Okay,
yeah, Mr. High Ankle.
Okay, yeah, that might be right. I was reading it as 128, and that's why I thought that. But yeah.
But now, what do we do with Achane going forward? Like, this is 2 bad weeks in a row. I obviously you're going to keep putting him in your lineup, but are we seeing him now more as like an RB2?
I saw more promise today out of that offense with Huntley than I did with Thompson. I think with a little more time to learn the offense better, I think that they'll be at least competent enough for him to still be effective.
But he's not even checking the ball down. Yeah, you saw him take the goal line carries too. So now he's taking touchdowns away from Achane.
Yeah, I think probably moving like the next week or two. What two is out at least another 2 weeks? Is it? I think it's just 2 weeks.
He's out. You think he's out through week 7 or something, right?
Is it week 7?
I believe so, because he's got the bye week, and since he's got to be 4 games on IR, so it's basically 5 weeks since the bye week falls in the middle. So
yeah, it's either 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, it's either 2 or 3 weeks. I think probably then we probably move him down a little bit because of quarterback play, just like you're moving down Tyreek and you're moving down Waddle probably quite a bit, especially after his performances the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, plus I think he was limping around from what I understand too. So
yeah, shot him up in the locker room, back on the field. I benched him the last few weeks just because you can't ever bench Tyreek Hill because he could house it at any time, but at least Waddle, you can feel comfortable benching him and putting somebody else in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary right now. Even Tyreek was looking just like frustrated today. So we'll see how it plays out. I do think Huntley will get better as he progresses more in that offense. He's still only been there for like a week and a half or something, I think. So, it's not like Mike McDaniels has the most easy offense to understand either.
Yeah, but like Trevor said, he's not really checking it down. I don't know if that's much, an offensive game plan as instead of how he plays.
Yeah, it might have been a specific game plan for the scenario too. Who knows? Maybe that's what their plan might have been to attack that defense. I have no idea how much that might factor into it, but
yeah,
I definitely feel like he looked better than Thompson did, and I think that they'll have more of a consistent offense with him than they would have with Thompson.
Also, you might have Mostert coming back that might take some of those heavier carries there inside the tackle carries that might open up.
Jalen Wright got quite a few carries today. So, he might just basically take a back seat to Mostert, and Mostert just takes those carries now. But
yeah, and I think Mostert's still, a little bit better than Wright is in this, early in his career.
Yeah, he understands this offense much better.
Yeah,
but
I think
he threw for 96 yards.
Yeah,
Like,
but he missed quite a few passes by just a smidgen, and so it's like I think he's just like a little bit off on timing and stuff right now. Like he needs a little more time. Is all. It's like his second. This is basically his first preseason game, kind of, if you look at it, right? Like he didn't even play last week, and then this is his first action in that offense. So, I'm not ready to like completely throw in the towel. Basically, is what I'm saying.
You want to see if the screen will get a little bit better, right quick, maybe a little larger. You think that's a little better, or you want to keep it the other way?
That's cutting off our.
No, that works. Yeah, you can see the bid still.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
It's clearer on my screen at least.
Here, I'll just change it right quick. Make it a little smaller.
Perfect.
That's perfect right there. They don't need to see our ugly mugs as much.
To get a little off topic for a minute, are you guys watching these Monday night games on YouTube?
YouTube TV.
Yeah, YouTube TV.
Yeah.
So are you doing the double game at the same time and then switching between commercials?
Basically, yeah.
How you guys feel about that? Like, because last season when they tried to do this double game thing, they weren't doing it on YouTube TV that way. So, and everyone was kind of really upset about it, talking about I can't watch both games. I got to pick and choose, and this is bullshit. But now that YouTube's putting them both up at the same time and flick of a button, you're just switching audio. It's kind of nice. I mean, it's kind of enjoyable. Like, I'm kind of really digging these double headers on Monday night now.
No, I mean, I feel like it was like this for me last year though, so I don't understand where
I'm going to disagree. I don't like
last year.
I don't like the double headers on Monday night. I would rather just have one game and you throw it in there on a.
Oh no, I get that part. He's just talking about the aspect of being able to watch both games at the same time instead of having to flip from like channel to channel and not being able to see the other game at all. Like you could just move from one.
Yeah, that's great. But I would rather just have one game and then you throw the other one in the Sunday bracket of all the games.
But on the other side of that, it's like we have 4 teams playing now. So the fantasy implications are even higher now because there's way more superstars coming down to the Monday night game. So there's a lot more on the line where multiple teams are still in
the year-long thing, right? They're not doing 2 games in Monday night every night, right?
No.
I didn't think so.
Because I think last year was only like once they did it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't very
the first week I think was it, and then they didn't do it after that.
Yeah,
but. All right, so moving on. Oh, by the way, the TC show is the one who picked up Achane. So
yeah, and I think he has a dolphin. Doesn't he have a dolphin in his picture too? So
probably.
So it looks like we have a doubleheader on October 21st, and that's the only other one I see.
We got Jared Goff kneeling down here. Does that affect anybody's? I know Sean was straightening it out, but I think he got a touchdown that saved him. So.
Yeah, I'm okay now. But
why is he
still in the game though? They got that touchdown. Why is he even still in the game? Did Seattle score again?
You gotta kneel it down.
So why does fantasy football count the kneel down as negative rushing yards? But if you get sacked, it's not negative rushing yards.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I wish they would get rid of the kneel down points, but
because we had a guy in one league saying he lost his prop bet because he kneeled down 3 or 4 times. Yeah. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense when you're getting sacked or even when you're outside the pocket running for your life. And then you still don't get negative passing yards because I took the under on Rodgers, like 3.5 rushing yards, and he got sacked multiple times and he still rushed for like 16 yards. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And what's crazy is in college, they do take away rushing yards for sacks. So it's like teams will go into halftime, like, some of these bad college teams go into halftime with negative 40 rushing yards because they got sacked 8 times.
Yeah.
So it's like, what?
They take it away from the running backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But that's, I guess, considered a run at that point. And since it's a pass play and they're just tackled for a loss, it's not considered a yardage loss in that, rushing aspect. I don't know.
There's got to be like rushing quarterbacks, like Lamar.
Yeah, like what if Lamar does like a actual planned run and gets tackled behind the line, it does take away from his rushing yards. But if he does like a pass,
I don't think it does.
I still think it's considered a sack.
Yeah,
if a quarterback is tackled behind the line,
as long it's behind the line, it's still a sack.
Are you sure? We'd have to look into that one.
Well, because how would you differentiate it? Like, oh, he was going to run. Oh no, he wasn't going to run.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got next player. We'll move on because that's off topic. So next player that we're talking about is AJ Brown. And so with his injury, we all know AJ's injury situation right now. So with his injury, he went for a lot less than he would have gone for had he not been hurt. So he basically went for $50 even on the nose, which again is rare. We talked about that last week with the zero amount winning a bid, but it held off for the $50. Next highest one was 45, so it was just a few bucks above. All of them were right around that area. Lowest was 26, so it really wasn't much of a spread as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, the only thing is if you have the room, then that's a great buy. But if you're dropping an important player, that could hurt you. But I mean, $50 for AJ Brown is probably a steal. You just have to have another playable piece,
right? I mean, we'll see how he did there this week when we talk about who got knocked out in the leagues and stuff. But as long as he survives this week and potentially next week, AJ Brown will be a staple in his lineup moving forward. So, I don't think it's terrible. But like you said, he better be able to afford the aspect of waiting it out, and then having the $50 in FOB gone too. Because if he needs to pay next week for a player because he got some injury hits this week or something, he's going to be having a hard time bidding on a top player with his potential wallet now.
I think he probably should have went for $37.
Yeah, I do too.
Of course you do. Of course you say that.
It looks like I'm on top of you there.
Yeah,
Just so everybody knows, Trevor and C-Bomb both bid exactly $37.
That was the perfect estimate right there.
I actually think it would have been great to go for 37 because I think Trevor would have lost out to C-Bomb.
Yeah.
So that would have been even better to see Trevor lose for the same bid that he bid.
Yeah, they happened last
week. He's on bye next week, so it doesn't help again.
Yeah, we saw the same bid last week when we were going over them. Somebody won with the same exact bid somebody else had. So, and we did figure it out. I don't remember who it was. Commented how exactly it works. So basically, it's reverse order from the draft.
Yeah,
waivers, and once you win one, then you go back to the last waiver spot. So,
yeah. So I mean, it's AJ, like you said, he's on a bye anyways. But like that's honestly to me, like if you guys hurt, like throw that bye week in there while he's hurt. Go for it. Don't have him anyways. So, that's to me, that might even mean a little bit more as far as bidding on him than it would be like take away from it. So next guy up is also on a bye next week, Jalen Hurts, the quarterback that throws the ball to AJ Brown. He went for a whopping $37.
That seems like a popular number.
Right? $37. Let's see who bid on him. Oh, look who it was that won it too. It's our good buddy Trevor. So he snagged himself a nice Jalen Hurts for $37. Congratulations, Trevor.
Yeah, and as you'll see, these quarterbacks really have like 2 to 3 bidders each, just because there's not – most of these guys have one quarterback that they're playing every week, and so they're comfortable with not spending that heavy on those.
Yeah, exactly.
I benched Hurts this week for Burrow anyway, so –
yeah, so like
who scored more? I think they're about the same.
Burrow had like 2 more points.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, but you'll see as the season progresses, though. Like these people don't think like a top quarterback like a Jalen Hurts is worth spending money on right now. But when the season goes on and everybody is so stacked at the rest of their positions from getting players throughout the season, and you're only falling behind because you have a mid-tier quarterback in your lineup, like a Kirk Cousins or something, and they're always throwing out like a Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts or something, Jaden Daniels against you, and you're losing 15, 20 points every week to that. You don't want to be like you're down to 10 teams, 9 teams, 8 teams. Like it's going to get scary. So
especially when it goes to
all you can.
Especially when it goes to Superflex as well, right? Because it progresses all the way up into Superflex. And so if you have, Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts, it really helps your team. You just have to make it to that point with getting rid of the,
And as we can see here, like weekly matchups mean a lot more in the guillotine aspect too, as far as who you want to start. Yeah. You're paying a lot more attention to who is this guy playing this week than you are in a normal scenario. Because you want to make sure that, you're not going to put that guy out who might be a superstar stud, but he's playing against a really good defense, and the potential of him getting a goose egg is just too risky. So you might sit him even though, he's a superstar guy. Let's a great name. Let's talk about Neighbors potentially, right? Like Neighbors against a really bad matchup defensively with Daniel Jones as his quarterback and that really bad team that they have. Like, is there a situation where, man, if they got a bad matchup and I'm really like needing to make it through that week, that you don't play somebody, like Jaden Reed over him or something?
Yeah,
like
Denver. I don't know if they play Denver, but that's a horrible matchup for most of these teams with one wide receivers. Patrick Surtain and that pass rush and that defense have looked really, really good to begin the season. So
right. Yeah, and if like say we'll use Jaden just because he's the first one in my mind right now, but say like Green Bay is playing somebody like Indianapolis whose defenses look terrible, or something like that. Cincinnati is another great one to talk about. Like that in that situation, man, it's hard not to put him in over Neighbors. It's tough. So sometimes you want to have the depth to cover those bad week matchups.
I mean, a great example this week is just Garrett Wilson, because they're playing Denver, and I know a lot of people benched him, and if they had depth at wide receiver, they were benching him because of how good Patrick Surtain is and how good that defense is, and it played out because I think he only had seven and a half fantasy points. Yeah. So
no, 100%. It's a great point.
Yeah. Also with these quarterbacks, so it looks like next week we have Lions, Chargers, Eagles, Titans. So if you have one of these quarterbacks, there's not really a whole lot on the waivers. Like it looks like right now we got Bo Nix and Tyler Huntley, or Jacoby Brissett. So it might be something to look forward to. Maybe scroll a couple weeks ahead and find out like what your lineups are looking like going forward, and you got to kind of plan ahead, because it looks like if I have Hurts, so there's three other teams that don't have a quarterback
coming up in 3 weeks. If there's a bad bye week for you in 3 weeks where you have multiple starters out for a bye week, you better start doing something now to prepare for that week. You better be moving on it now, because if you don't and you wait another week or so and people notice that, like what Connor mentioned earlier, like there are cutthroat players out there who are like, I'm not giving that guy anything. He is going to be the one getting knocked out. I don't have to worry this week, so I am not going to hand him anything.
And now you're competing with the three other teams that don't have a quarterback.
Exactly. And half the teams out there are going to be like, no, man, you're good. I'm going to have to let you live or die. That's just going to be how it'll be for them. So if you don't make moves early before they realize that might be the case for you, then you're going to end up high and dry potentially.
Yep, exactly. Like I said, I think these quarterbacks, especially this week, if you have Jared Goff or if you have, unfortunately, Will Levis or somebody like that, you're going to be bidding high on these quarterbacks this week. So,
yep, 100%. And it's only going to take that like 2 teams or 3 teams, like the Anthony Richardson owners. They're going to be bidding on quarterbacks this week. Not because they maybe are going to drop the guy, but they don't want him in their starting lineup anymore. And they weren't drafting for that to be the case. So they might not have a backup role available that they can just throw right in there. So, they're going to be making moves, man. And you got to be ready for that. You never want to be stuck having to get one specific position and be like dire straits with it. Otherwise you could end up really bad. So let's move on, man. Next guy that went was Caleb Williams. So $35 per Caleb, $2 less than Jalen Hurts for Caleb Williams. So that to me is a shocking type of amount there. I think.
Yeah, but as you can see, the Nets bid was probably more about right where he should go anyway. So it's just a little bit of an overbid. Maybe a guy too confident on Caleb Williams or too hurting at quarterback. So
see, this might be a victim of exactly what we discussed. It's the guy feeling like he had no choice but to get one of these 2 quarterbacks. That was short stack. Let's just double check real quick and see if he was one of the bids over here. He didn't even bid on Hurts, so that's kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's very surprising because if he bid $35, he would have been second on Hurts, which is like, one person there, and he's got Jalen Hurts for basically the same price.
Yeah, well, it looks like he also has Geno Smith and Stafford.
Yeah. So he's not even hurting that bad at quarterback.
So maybe he's hoarding them. Going to make some moves to these bye week guys.
He didn't drop anybody either, so that's interesting.
Yeah, so everybody go hit up short stack. You're looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, right. If you're in that situation. So next guy that went was Quentin Johnston. He had 3 bids on him. He ended up going for $21 total. So Chiefs Life won that bid. Next up was Scott with 16, and then JM Hubs bid 12. So we had 3 total bids on that. It was only an $9 difference from bottom to top bid. So it really was pretty close overall. What do you guys think of that amount?
I think that's too high for Johnston, honestly. I mean, I'm not a big guy. I mean, I'm not big on him anyway, but I don't think
this was right after his 2 touchdown week, though, too. So
yeah.
I mean,
but if you watch the game, you know how he got those touchdowns. It wasn't like he was killing anybody on routes. I was broken coverage, I think, on both of them. So, but again, I think it's too high, especially for the guy that went below him, went for less, and I think he's a better player and had actually better weeks than he did. So
yeah, I agree. I'm moving into the Rome Odunze picked up for $13, which I do think is a really good price. The only thing I don't like about it,
who you dropped.
I dropped got me to it. Yeah. Little did I know what was going to happen with Davion, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things here. I mean, we got Justin Fields. This gets dropped a little later on, and he had a great week. That probably hurts. I think that, and then we got Justice Hill, who had a great week as well. So I mean,
although this one here, I was skeptical of that move even when he made it. I'm like, I don't even know why you make that move in the first place. To be honest, I think James. I love you, James, but I think you screwed up on that one, man.
I think the only thing maybe is he thought Russell Wilson might come back and take that role. I think that's a bad. I don't think that's actually what would happen.
I think he just got sold on Andy Dalton's first week, man.
Yeah, that too. I mean, a combination of the two, maybe.
Yeah. I know James pretty well, and I could see that definitely being what happened. And all I got to say is, next time you're thinking about doing something like that, James, just give me a call, man. I'll talk you out of
it. Call the hotline. Call the hotline.
All right. So after my bid of 13, let's verify real quick who the next closest bids were. So Short Stack did actually bid $15 to get him, but because he got another player, he was not able to pick that player up. So
because he got Caleb, I believe, he wasn't able to pick Rome. So I honestly would probably pay more for Rome than I would Caleb in a guillotine league, especially the way Caleb has, not really produced that many fantasy points so far in his career. And Rome has, I think 2 back-to-back 20-point weeks, or 15 and 20 or something like that.
Yeah. So Rome is definitely looking better. And plus Keenan Allen is still kind of up in the air on what's going to happen with him. And I don't think that DJ Moore and Caleb are really on the same page yet. And not to say that it won't happen at some point soon, but right now it
just doesn't look like Caleb, has it completely down with any receiver yet. I mean, he had some great throws to Rome, but it's not like they were like timing routes or anything like that. So
I think he's just closer to Rome as like a person, and I think he just looks at Rome more.
Yeah, I agree.
Really what it is, I think, so far. But that'll all change as he gets more comfortable in the pocket and just on the field in general. So we'll see how it progresses. So the next one that went was Cordero Patterson. He went for $1. So, I mean, that's, not really much to move the needle either way. We did have a few other roster moves. We had a Tyler Conklin picked up for Taysom Hill, which another bad move by James, man. I mean,
at the time, I don't think that's that bad. Conklin was looking like a good part of that offense, and Taysom Hill really wasn't.
Yeah, but Kamara was hurt. There, I think Kamara was a game time decision at that point.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Taysom Hill had 2 touchdowns this game or something too. So, I mean, it looks bad going back, but Tyler Conklin was looking like,
I made the mistake of dropping Taysom Hill in another league as well. And then somebody else swooped him up and scored those points this week.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns, but it looks like James totally redeemed himself with the next one.
The lad,
picking up lad.
Must have been asleep or something. I can't believe he was just sitting there.
I think somebody dropped him for one of those players that we.
Well, I can tell you exactly what happened. This is a victim. We're all victims of the Hawaii time zone right here, because James is wide awake when these process. So he's able to just sit there and see what just happened and who didn't get picked up and go and make a move real quick. So this is probably going to be something we're going to see throughout the league until he's knocked out, guys.
Can you scroll up and see if somebody dropped lad for one of those guys? I don't remember if I saw that or not.
I don't believe so. I was trying to keep an eye on the players dropped in case there was somebody worth talking about, and I really didn't see anybody, at least until we got to Fields. So, and then all the rest of the moves don't really move the needle much. I do like the Michael Wilson pickup. I think that was a good move. Good job, Trevor.
Don't like the Gesicki
pickup. I don't like that you picked up Gesicki and dropped Hunt, though. That doesn't look good after this.
Well, I needed a tight end. There's no tight ends out there, and I had McBride.
It gives us time to talk about y'all's pub sub bet, right? Y'all have a pub sub on Eric All and Gesicki, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And then we'll just go over the points for how that went this week. I think Gesicki scored 0.1 and Eric All scored like 7. So didn't I told we told y'all. Come on,
Hey,
Torres.
Trevor, I like roast beef with a little bit of horseradish and some sweet pickle.
Yeah, that adds up.
That's
That's funny.
Oh man! All right. So other than that, we had Trey Tucker picked up.
That was a good pickup.
Yeah.
The Trey Tucker, especially with Adams out. So
yeah, I like Trey Tucker. I think I talked him up in one of the pods recently because he seems like a good dude after I met him, and I've always rooted for him. So I'm happy to see him doing well. Tutu Atwell was picked up, dropped for Gabe Davis.
He went for like another 95 yards.
Who's that?
Tutu.
Yeah, I think that's a good pickup. He'll be useful until one or two of the other guys come back at some point. I think Cup is supposed to be sooner than Puka, but we'll see how that plays out. So Noah Fant was picked up, dropped Brenton Strange. Thought that was a good move too. So basically everything else that had happened wasn't really anything that was all that useful. So let's move into week 4 and see who got dropped out of the league for the week, guys. This is always my favorite part of the league when it's not me, and worst part of the league when it is me, right?
You want to go over the top performer first? And then
let's do that. Let's start on a good note. Let's start with a good note first. Let's go over the top performer of the week, and it looks like it was Team Mean Machine here.
No, I think it's Zubicus, right?
Zubicus?
Yeah.
Did I just do that to Zoobs? I'm so sorry.
I can't believe you did that to Jeff.
151.
I know, right? Man, you know what, Jeff? You are one of our loyal people here, and I do never want to do that to you. I'm so sorry, my friend. Here you are right here. 151.12. What a score.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable. That might be our top score of the week. We'll have to see how we play.
That's pretty good.
Oh, Kenneth Walker helps. Yeah.
Kenneth
Walker. And that garbage touchdown from Amon-Ra.
Both of look at this Monday night right here, man. We had 55, 56 points on Monday night.
Yeah. Scroll down. Did he have any more? I don't know. Like if he had Mooney.
No. He had Nico, though, that scored really well for him. Kittle was one of the top tight end scorers for the week. Zach Moss did decent enough. Dak did decent enough. So he really didn't have much of an underperformance other than his flex, which, I mean, that's the guy that if you're going to have an underperformance, that's who you would anticipate it from,
and it's not even a goose egg or anything like that. It's still at 8, or what is that, 8.6? So, I mean, that's still not even that bad for your flex and, in a guillotine. So.
Look at
just
Scott
so everybody knows, we gotta chime in from our good buddy Scott. He says I got bailed out on Monday night by Jared Goff. Yeah, you're right, Scott. You're right. I did get bailed out, and I am very happy for it. Thank you very much for bringing it up.
You're sweating it there.
Yeah.
Dude, I sure was, especially because of what happened last week with Eckler having me basically right there, and about the same amount of time in the game that Goff had me right there. And I'm like, it's going to happen again. It is going to happen again.
He was looking rough at the start. I think he was like 14 for 14, but only had like 4 points or something. So
because they kept running the ball in.
Yeah.
They get, both the running backs. I think Gibbs got 2 and Montgomery got 1 before Goff even scored a touchdown. So, I thought,
and then he caught a touchdown. That helped.
Yeah.
What's that? What'd you say, Trevor? I'm sorry.
He caught one.
Yeah, that was his first touchdown of the night.
Yeah.
He hadn't done nothing up until that point. But yeah, that was helpful. I mean, it was really a close call. So I'm glad that it played out the way it did. But, I don't want to have to be like that every week. That's for dang sure.
You're probably going to be bidding this week, huh? You're going to be bidding on some players.
We'll see. I might have to make some moves. It depends. I mean, I have a good lineup that just underperformed. So hopefully it'll do better.
Maybe pick up some Ravens.
Too soon, Trevor. Too soon. All right, so let's find our team that got knocked out this week, huh? So I snuck my way through, guys, with the 85.38. Thank you, Jared Goff. So let's roll our way on down here, and I believe
Chiefs,
look at this, guys. Okay, look at this. We have a 78.70 loss. The next closest team is the matchup he had for the week, like it was a premonition or something. 78.90. That is 0.2 of a difference, ladies and gentlemen.
2 kneel downs.
2 of a difference. And let's see why that happened.
Hey, let's
It's
see.
right here, everybody. It's Will Levis.
Oh
throws a
shit!
pick and then jumps for a first down.
my
Hurts
God.
his shoulder like a baseball outfielder trying to dive for a missed fly ball. It ends up busting out with negative 0.5. He nearly lost his whole season to Will Levis's ridiculously bad play. So I hope you saw that.
Did Patrick Mahomes kneel it down? Did he lose it on Patrick Mahomes kneel downs?
He might have, yeah.
I don't see Mahomes has any. I guess he has
5
yards,
carries for 12 yards, but I don't know if he knelt
yeah.
down at the end of the game. That would be
I think
bad.
they did. I think they were running the clock out.
Yeah.
I don't know. We would have to look at that one. I'm not sure about that.
I'm going to pull up the game script. I'm going to see if he knelt it down because that would be a bad way to lose.
Yeah.
That would be a terrible way to lose, especially if it's more than 2 yards.
Yeah, with our conversation at the beginning.
Because if it's more than 2 yards of the kneel down, then we're looking at a poor guy over here. And that's his boy too, man. That's his Chiefs.
No way. No way. He knelt it down 3 times. So he lost 0.3.
Oh, that's
so
horrible.
He lost it. He not only knelt it down twice to give him basically the tie, he knelt it down 3 times to give him the whole loss.
Wow, dude. Well, I hope you feel better about your boy Patrick. Not only did he cost you your fantasy league, but he also cost you your best receiver for the season.
Gee, that's too early. That's too early.
Is it too early? Hey, I just got my ass kicked by the Ravens. I'm allowed to talk some shit, all right?
Wow. Yeah, he knelt it down for -1 yards 3 times in a row.
So let's talk about Patrick Mahomes since he's available now on the waiver wire for next week. You guys got any thoughts on how much you think he's going to go for?
No, he's been playing terrible.
I'll probably say still around Jalen Hurts range, 35 or so.
Yeah,
I mean, especially the TB's. I mean, obviously needs a quarterback right there. So,
right.
I still expect him to go 35 or so. I think I don't know if he picks it up, but I think he probably does a little bit moving forward. But we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, they play the Saints next week, and then he goes on bye. He's quarterback number 13 on the season right now. Hasn't really done. I mean, he has one more touchdown than interceptions.
Yeah,
like I know he especially for dynasty purposes. I know he's probably still up there as one of the top quarterbacks, but are we gonna have to start dropping this guy down the list now?
I mean, I think a little bit. I think even in dynasty, I mean, you probably might want to pivot off him and go to Jaden Daniels or a guy like that. Honestly,
you can get Jaden Daniels plus something.
Yeah. If you can trade him for Jaden Daniels plus something, I think even in a competing team, that might be something you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're getting Jaden Daniels plus something right now for him.
Yeah, exactly. If you can, I think you do, but I don't
have to give him plus something to get Jaden.
I mean, there's still the risk aspect of rushing quarterbacks. It's not always a guarantee. These guys take a lot of unnecessary.
Jaden does not look like a rushing quarterback right now. He looks like a quarterback who throws the ball that can also run.
It's going to come out at some point.
I don't know. I'm pretty stoked on Jaden, how he's performing. I think he's going to be somebody I'd play over Patrick Mahomes weekly until he proves me wrong. But that's just because of that rushing opportunity, plus the way he's throwing the ball looks so good right now.
I mean, and 6 point per passing touchdown doesn't matter that much, but I think I agree.
Well, JD's throwing the ball they're in an open offense, and he's throwing deeper passes. Yeah. Patrick just lost to one of his best receivers. What happened last time that they had a really bad receiving core? They went to a dink and dunk style offense. So, I don't
maybe
think
Kelsey be relevant finally.
Hopefully,
I think he comes back to life again because Rashee Rice was taking a lot of his style routes. So I do think Kelsey is going to be more targeted.
I think Mahomes is probably, like you said, lower down until they trade for somebody or sign somebody like an Adams or somebody like that. So
yeah,
if they do that, you might bring him back up maybe a little bit, especially if they trade for Adams. I know there's a few people that are rumoring that or whatever, putting that out there, but if they do that, I think you have to bring him probably back up to right about where he was.
I still
see that happening in division. The Raiders, they're not doing. What are they 2-2 now?
Who's that?
The Raiders.
The Raiders. I believe they're 1-3, aren't they?
1-3.
Yeah, they only beat the Panthers, I believe. Right? Or not the Panthers, I'm sorry, the Ravens.
Oh yeah, the Ravens.
It'd be terrible to lose to the
Every dog has
Ravens.
a day, man. Every dog has a day.
Any given Sunday, huh?
Right?
Oh,
All right, so let's move on here. We got to speed through a little bit more because we're getting up on time here.
yeah. Let's get away.
We got Alvin Kamara is the next player that I think will probably be. I would venture to say he'll probably be the highest bidder for the week. My guess is probably going to be around that 70 to 90 range, but you never know if people are going to bid high anymore because we're kind of getting to that point. So, you guys got a kind of guesstimation where you think he'll fall?
Yeah, I think you're probably right, 70 or so. I wouldn't expect too much more than 70 just because, he's not one of those guys that was going in the first or second. He's not a Breece Hall or a Devon.
And we're moving far enough in where we're going to start seeing players not go for over $100 a week on a regular basis anymore.
He is RB1 though.
He is RB1.
He is RB1. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he does go for a little bit more, but
there's a lot of running back needy teams out there. And from the rest of his lineup, it doesn't look like there's anyone else really too exciting to get on your roster. So you might actually see some monster bids just trying to get the best player. I mean, I guess Adams, but he didn't play.
Yeah, he might not even play for the Ravens or the Raiders again.
Yeah.
So
it might be an intriguing buy low prospect, honestly.
Yeah, this could be a good week for buying low on some of these deals.
Yeah.
I mean, Dobbins too. I think Dobbins probably goes for a little bit as well.
Yeah, JK
he's looked nice. His receivers, I mean, like besides Adams, it's not really.
Yeah, like weekly Reynolds. Yeah, QJ. If Ingram's back, Tutu.
Dotson, not really. Dobbs.
You need a tight end. Komet's doing decent.
I mean, you can kind of see why this team got eliminated, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he did his best to survive as long as he could, but he definitely got, he's only got really one guy that's kind of been carrying him.
Yeah, and he got lucky with getting Dobbins. I assume he probably drafted Dobbins really late.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I guess we'll see how it goes next week. And we're sorry, Chiefs Life. I know you're in the other leagues, though, so I hope, you're still alive and two, right? So you're just like me now.
Wait, what does that standing say right there?
And Trevor, actually. Well, we don't have time for that, Trevor.
The standings, yeah.
Here we are. So we're going to move on into the 18 heads in a double bag. All right. This is another one that I was sweating for a second until I realized that we had a team that scored only 52 points in this one, which I think is definitely a candidate for the third team of the week, ladies and gentlemen. So we will get into that here in a second, though. Let's go ahead and scroll on up and let's go check out what the fob looked like here. So we're sitting here. As you can see, there was quite a few guys picked up this week, guys. And that's because this was a solid squad. So you're looking at the number one player was $110, and it was Breece Hall. I definitely recommend if you're going to spend $110, you spend it on a player like Breece Hall over Devon Achane. But, Breece Hall is not doing well this week either. So, I'm not saying that that's going to be the case moving forward. Who knows what's going on with that backfield right now? Braylon Allen looked like he was getting a lot of love this week. Yeah. So there was 12 total bids on him. The next closest bid was our boy Connor here at 103. So he was just barely outbid by 10 or by $7 more, followed up by Rage on Sundays for 101. And then Tortoise was there for 97.
That might have been the best thing to happen to you, Connor, was to not get Breece.
Yeah, honestly.
Dodged the bullet.
Right? Yeah, for real. Especially this week. I don't remember what my team is in this one off the top of my head, but I think this might be one of the leads I was, sweating in.
Well, this is not one of the leagues you were sweating in because the poor gentleman who just spent $110 on Breece had a 52 total score.
Oh, yeah.
So we are now going to have the opportunity to bid on Breece again.
Yeah.
So now that we see all these bids, guys, this is going to be a fun one to watch. So next week we got literally back-to-back weeks with the same top player on the board. So we'll see how this is going to turn out this week. It's going to be interesting to watch. But you can see what he went for now, and I don't think he goes for this much next week after putting up 3 point what.
Although I will say I did win the next bid, and it didn't help me much either. So
right, so no, next bid was C-Bomb also got Devon Achane for 70. So you got him for 40 cheaper than the last guy, right? So you can't.
I think they scored the same amount of points.
Right? Yeah, I think Achane actually outscored him by a little bit, but.
You definitely overbid by a little bit, but not as much as the other option. So, yeah, it's not too bad. I think he's still a solid player to have on your roster, so it's not terrible.
Yeah,
at
but
all.
what sucks is my the guys that I benched for Achan, if I didn't pick up Achan, were Justice Hill, who scored 21, and Chuba Hubbard, who scored 22. So it's like,
Yeah.
Hey, but you didn't die, so I mean,
yeah,
you're still
exactly.
alive. Now, what I would do if I was you is I'd throw those other two guys up on the trade block.
Yeah.
No, I'd be playing those two.
I'd put
At least
Chuba
till
up.
Brooks gets there.
I'd trade Chuba away all day. So I'm sorry, that's Acham. Let's go back. Next guy was Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith went for $47, and his total next highest bid was Trevor at 37. So that's based on injury alone. I do think he's another scenario, just like what happened with AJ, where he ended up going lower than he should have. But that whole offense is really scary right now too. So it's going to be one of those situations to keep an eye on.
Yeah, but another thing is, I mean, he basically went for the same thing AJ Brown went for, and I don't think he's the player AJ. I mean, I love Devontae Smith, but he's not. I mean, he's not the one, the 1A there. So it's a little strange seeing them go for about the same.
I think he actually went for $10 more. I think he was 37 for.
I thought it was 50. Wasn't it 50?
I thought it was 37 for.
No, me and Tortoise bid 37, and he went for 50.
Yeah, that's right. Correct. Right. It was the 37. Okay, yeah. That's right.
It's pretty close. I mean, for me, it was just like a little injury hesitant with him going to miss the game with the concussion and then the bye week. I just thought, it's kind of a luxury item to have right now, and it's not like a superstar. So it's like, am I really throwing my money for like a guy I'm not going to play for 2 weeks in a guillotine league? I was just, the 37 seemed reasonable. But
I would have rather gone for T. Higgins, especially seeing that he went for $10 cheaper, $11 cheaper.
Or Brian Thomas. Like, what a steal.
The Brian Thomas pickup, $31 for Cole Kmet, I think is a product of a 1 week scenario. I would not have bid that much personally. But
he might have been really hurting at tight end. He might have had Mark.
That could have been too. He could have really needed a tight end that bad. So that makes sense. $28 for Braylon Allen is exactly a product of what we just talked about. He's just looking like he's going to be a major part of that offense.
Yeah, and now he's getting all the goal line work too.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot of what it looked like Breece Hall was sick last week. Honestly, he was not. I mean, he was dropping passes he normally catches. He was missing some. Yeah, he missed a key block on third down. They got Aaron Rodgers sacked, and they had to punt the ball away. And you really don't see that much out of Breece. He's usually one of those guys you can rely on, especially pass blocking. And he really wasn't last week. So I think he might have been a bug,
like a buy low time.
On Breece, I don't know if you can buy low on Breece.
Yeah, honestly. I think the name value will still spend a little bit on him. I think it's a little early.
I think it's more of a sell high. I think it's probably more of a sell high on Braylon Allen than it is anything.
Well, so if like you were like if you had Breece, like what would you be willing to trade him away for? Like for like
what kind of league? In like a redraft league?
Yeah, like a redraft league. Like, are you trading Breece away for?
No. This is the guillotine pod. You're trading away in a guillotine.
Or finding guillotine, same thing in guillotine. Are you going to trade like Breece Hall away for like Josh Jacobs? Try to get a piece of that Green Bay offense.
Josh Jacobs in like $20 in FOB, $25 in FOB.
Yeah.
If I was low on FOB and I needed a player that I could at least count on to be in the lineup,
I still think that's a little low personally. So I think Josh Jacobs probably would go for like 50 or something FOB, and that's another 20 on top of that. It'd only be 70. I still think Breece is probably still 80, at least 80 to 90 FOB.
So then 35 or 40. Yeah. Then
I think that's probably more fair. Like a 30. Josh Jacobs plus 30 is probably maybe the lowest I'd go.
But. Are you trading him away for like Kamara?
Well, of course. Are you talking about Kamara for Hall right now? The way they're performing, why wouldn't you?
No, for Breece.
Yeah, Breece for Kamara, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade him away I would try to still maybe get 20, 15, 10, as much as FOB you can get on top of Kamara for Breece. I don't
know if you can get that deal done right now the way Kamara's playing, but
yeah, but I'm not trading away Breece for that either. So
yeah. All right, so let's move on.
I don't know. I might do that deal right now. I'm a little worried on Breece.
We can move on from Breece. We got to get rolling here, guys. Brian Thomas is the next guy that went. He went for $27 to Trevor. The next bid up was $23. So too bad that he didn't get him, because then he would have been right back up on the roster this week, and I would have liked to bid on him. But I guess we'll just deal with it as is, huh? Next guy, Tajay Spears went for 11, which made it look good considering how good of a game he had today.
I mean, Gus Edwards put up a little bit of points more so than he has been too. So
yeah, so $11 though. I don't mind that bid right there for a player that's getting time. Andy Dalton again for $5 with 3 bids. I think that's another just kind of product of the system. Look how far Mark Andrews just dropped all the way down.
He might fall even further than that next week. I don't know if anybody's picking him up right now.
Crazy. He might be on the waiver wire next week. You got Mike Williams
redraft leads,
right? And Rashad Bateman went for $3. Both of those two guys. I don't like dropping Geno to pick up Mike Williams at all, but it's if you're dire straits, I can understand it. Shortly after that, on the waiver wire, Leggett got picked up from Polk. I think that's a solid pickup. I was able to snag Herbert for free. I don't know how that happened. I got Emmanuel Wilson got picked up. Tyler Wilson or Algier got dropped. And then the last one before it got two later was Roshan and Alec Pierce. So as you can kind of see, it was one of those weeks where you had a lot of guys available and a lot of money was spent. So we're really going to start to see as this league progresses, these bids are going to change a lot as time goes on here because people are running low on cash. The next team, the team that got knocked out, Ethan Blinka 10. I am so sorry, my boy. You are gone. I know you spent up money to get Breece Hall thinking, okay, I'm solid. I got myself a good running back. I'm going to go into this week. I'm going to score a lot of points. It just doesn't work out the way we anticipate half the time. And this was one of those times for you, man. I am so sorry, my friend, but you are out of here. Let's look at your roster.
I think he has a decent team, but I think the thing that killed him was the Adams. I think he probably missed that news. Bought Breece, put him in his lineup, and was like, yeah, I'm good to go. My lineup's looking good. I got Neighbors, I got Breece Hall, I got Adams, I got Josh Allen. Like, there's no way I'm getting eliminated. And then, Adams goes down on a Thursday. I think the news was released like Thursday night or something that he was out, or maybe it was Friday morning or something like that. But he missed it because he already set his lineup and wasn't stressed about it. Because I don't even know if Adams had questionable going into that day. I think it got released that he was just out, to my knowledge. And so he missed that, and that cost him. And then along with Pitts and Allen having bad weeks and the Breece Hall that he bought having a bad week. So
that's a nice roster.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting week on bids. Josh Allen is another interesting scenario. The guy hasn't really had like a great fantasy season so far because they had early games where they were blowing people out and he really hadn't do much. And then they got blown out. He didn't really do much. So who's going to really bid high right now? We've just talked about how quarterbacks are going for cheap. So, it's going to be interesting to see what he ends up going for, being that he was considered the top and, in my opinion, still is the top fantasy quarterback in football. So, it's going to be one of those fun ones to watch, though. Also, because not only do you have him, but you also got people are going to want to spend their money on Malik Neighbors. They're going to want to spend their money on Breece Hall. Rico Dowdle is coming up in the game right now. He's going to be worth some dollars. I know Adams is out this week, but if he's showing like he's going to play next week, he'll get bid on a decent amount. He'll still get bid on one way or the other.
You got Keenan Allen might go for a couple dollars. You got Chubb
back at practice. He'll go
might get a couple dollars. Chase Brown looked really good his last game.
And Joker should be back
next week.
Yeah, so he's got a pretty solid squad of players that will get bid on. So it's going to be an interesting week in this game. So this will be a fun one to pay attention to.
Like we said earlier, like it only takes one mistake to get eliminated in these. Like one mistake of not playing Adams, he plays Chase Brown and he's fine. You just got to pay. Do your due diligence and make sure you're checking these rosters, because I know some redrafts you're like, I'm 0-3, I don't really care, or I'm 3-0 and I have a great roster, I don't need to set it perfectly. But these you have to make sure you're checking every week.
100%. All right. Last and final league, our Braveheart $50 league. This is the league that both me and Trevor are gone. So I have to admit, I have not paid attention at all this week to this league.
Me neither.
It's one that I have been slightly wanting to just forget about because I'm so excited.
This is our gift to the community. You guys go ahead. No way.
Along with you guys. What happened in this league?
I do want to give a round of applause to Extreme Experience. He finally set his lineup in this league. I just want to give him a round of applause. He finally paid attention, and he
If
scored.
he was paying
105
enough attention,
points.
he probably could have bought Tyreek Hill with the money he got in the trade from me and still had all of his fob left and Tyreek Hill back on his roster.
Oh,
And the Xavier Worthy pickup is looking real nice right now because he's going to be the
100%, all you guys that were talking all that mess in the beginning of the season, he's got some. He's got some kudos now. He got some points.
I actually traded him Rashee Rice in another one of our leagues, and I got Jefferson.
Oh man,
so, yeah, that
you
doesn't
got to bring that up when the man's flying high. You got to bring that up when he's flying high, and then you got to go shoot him down. Yeah, typical Trevor. Can't let somebody just have a moment.
Yeah,
it was a good offer. I was happy.
All right, so let's look through it. We've got a Maui James sighting. Is this the week of Maui James getting knocked out of this league?
Yeah, he immediately. I was talking trash. I wasn't really talking trash to him, but I was saying, he said he outlasted you, but I was like, that's not a high bar. And then he's like, oh, I don't want to talk about this league. Let's talk about the league I'm beating you.
Oh, that's great. All right, James, we'll come back to you, buddy. We're gonna go through the fob real quick from last week on this league, but oh man, poor James. You could tell how upset I am about it. All right, let's go over how this week went in fob. Here's another Achane sighting. So obviously Achane was on the most teams from last week, right? I'm assuming that all the Dolphins were probably a victim of that, but like Achane specifically was on every one of these three. So that's our guy of the week this week.
That is it. That is our guy of the week. That's just a name that's kind of surprising because he really wasn't getting drafted that high in guillotines. I think he was like third round of guillotines or so, which is like, and he didn't drop goose heads or anything. So it's like a little bit surprising that he's, in all three teams, but
yeah. He went for 86 in this league. Next highest bid was 58. Bit of a dip there, but it's still not terrible. I think we've seen him go for between that and all the way up to 110.
Yeah, I bid for him a little bit more in this league because I was hurting at RB more so than I was in the other leagues. I bought him for 70 in the previous league. I bought him for 86 here. But, I mean, it's all about team needs in some of these leagues. And I was like second or third, from getting eliminated last week. And I was like, I need a running back. So I had to do a little bit more.
It's almost like you need running backs in fantasy football.
Where are y'all at again?
So just so you guys know, this is my team that they're bidding on right here. This is the players that I had on my team. That's why there are so many good players available for them. So this is very, very heart breaking for me to go through this with you guys right now. But I'm gonna power through it for your sake, guys, because I want to make sure you guys get the information. Tyreek Hill was our next bid at $47. So like we said, he could have easily just used the fob I traded him to bid on Tyreek, and he'd have got him right back on his roster for even less than I gave him. So he'd have made out like a bandit had he bid on him, which we obviously see he did not do. The next close bid was 41. There's only $6 difference.
Yeah, perfect bid, but I mean Tyreek Hill has not looked, Tyreek Hill the last couple of weeks. So I think that's probably a good bid, but we'll see if that works out in the long run.
So here we got CJ Stroud going for 39. So that's another scenario of a quarterback going lower than anticipated. Next highest bid was 32. So they were all right.
That's the highest quarterback we've seen so far, though.
It is.
$2 more than Jalen Hurts.
Sam Laporta still went for $31. I think after this week's performance, though, that's going to change.
Yeah, he'll go up if he gets dropped.
Jaden Daniels went for $25. That is a steal of a bid right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a steal of a bid for sure.
Cole Kmet, I'm kind of breezing through this a little bit, guys, because we're up on time here. I don't want to keep you all too much longer. Cole Kmet was a $14 bid, ended up being the next guy off the board. Eckler went for $12. I think that's a good deal. I know that he was out, so you got that discount of the 1 week.
Shame on you, Zoobs. Shame on you.
Yeah, this is a bad move, Zoobs. You probably shouldn't have done that. But
too much fob and bad drop player.
Yep.
Same
I
thing
love this move by JoJo right here, picking up Brooks for $9. I think that's a steal of a pickup right now to have a guy if you have the roster space to carry him.
Yeah, it sucks that you dropped Chase Brown after his best week of the year, but before his best week of the year.
Not a fan of the drop, but I understand the move. I just think of course, hindsight's 2020. Chase Brown wasn't doing much prior to this week, so he's definitely going to be somebody people are chasing on the waiver wire though now. Hopkins was the next guy to go for $5. And then from there, we had Keenan Allen got picked up for free. Dalton got picked up for free, which tells you why you should not have been bidding on him earlier.
Yeah.
Roshan Johnson got picked up for free. Romeo Dobbs got picked up for free. Cade Otton got picked up for free.
Yeah.
So somebody's talking about me. Oh, hey, look at this. How are you 3-0 and 3-0 in the standings of the managed get yourself knocked out?
Hey, that's before he got eliminated too.
Let's all look at this for just a second. Who said this? Maui James is the one who wanted to make a comment about me getting knocked out. And then we look right over here, right next to that. Here's Maui James at 58, the loser of the week.
Yep.
You are so lucky, James, that Ethan bailed you out. Otherwise, you would be the third team of the week. You're like, you're pretty dang close, man. You're the shard of the week. We'll call you that.
Oh my God.
So you guys, let's look at his team here. This is who's going to be on the waiver wire in this league. Another Josh Allen sighting. So Josh Allen will be on the waiver wire in 2 of the 3 leagues next week. We'll keep an eye on if there's a player who's actually ahead of him with all 3 leagues or not. Rashid White is the next guy that we're going to have. He's going to probably be dropped on price because of what's going on in that backfield. I'd say maybe DJ Moore would be maybe his next highest bid. Probably his highest bid, huh? DJ Moore maybe would be his highest bid.
I don't know. I think Allen still might go for more than DJ Moore. I don't know. It's either DJ Moore or Josh Allen. I still think Josh Allen still has quite a bit of.
Right. He does have Devontae Smith. He might outbid them both. We'll see. It's going to be a close call, but I don't see a lot of guys on this team that are going to go for a lot. I feel like this is going to be one of those bargain basement weeks on this league where you're going to be able to get a good guy for a good price. So I think it'll be a fun one to watch as well, just for that aspect of it.
I think we should take a look at Thrill Kill because I think he's the team with the Lions. I think he commented right there. He has quite a bit of Lions who have week 5 buys, so he might be bidding on quite a bit of players here. Yeah, he has Montgomery, Brown,
Montgomery, Amon-Ra, and Laporta.
And then I think Eagles are on bye, so he has AJ Brown as well that's on a bye. So
yeah, which is, I mean, AJ wasn't going to be a startable player for him anyway. He's going to have
that's like your whole bench is on bye. So anybody else you're going to have to drop.
No, Chase Brown is not on a bye, right? The Bengals.
No, but I mean the amount of guys he has on bye is almost going to fill up his whole entire bench.
Yeah, he'll have Montgomery 1, St. Brown 2, AJ Brown 3, Sam Laporta 4.
Metcalf,
so he'll have 1 spot.
Metcalf 2. Is it Metcalf on a bye? Seattle?
No.
I thought Titans, Eagles,
Chargers.
Chargers.
Titans, Eagles, Chargers. Was there one
Lions.
more?
Lions.
Titans, Eagles, Chargers, Lions.
Yeah,
okay.
Lions.
So yeah, he's gonna have a rough time next week, man. He's got Kelsey to cover his tight end role, so he can leave Kelsey in. And then he can throw in Javonte, he can throw in Chase to cover his running back spot and his flex spot. So he's going to have to figure out a receiver role, which it looks like
Jerry Jeudy.
So, I mean, I guess it's not terrible, but it's going to be a rough week. You're going to be pinching cheeks all weekend.
If Darnold plays up to how he's been playing and Kamara plays up at how he's been playing, he might be fine with Kelsey, So we'll see. I mean, he doesn't have that bad of a team that's going to be playing this week because you have, QB1 basically, and then you have running back 1. So,
yeah, it'd be interesting. It's going to be a fun one.
Is Sam Darnold?
And he's going to have some guys to bid on too. He could make a move this bidding cycle here and pick up a player or 2 to help cover him. So,
who's QB1 this year? It's not Sam Darnold. God dang it. It's Baker Mayfield. Who would have thought?
Wow, really?
Yeah. Baker Mayfield's 101.9, and then Lamar's 101.1, and then Sam Darnold's in 3rd at 100, almost even. So
that's awesome. All right. Hey, man, it was a lot of fun, guys. Really appreciate y'all being here. Thank you guys for being here, Trevor. Thank you for being here, Connor, man. Appreciate you guys every time. Hopefully you guys will join us next week. We're here every Monday night. We go over these guillotine leagues. We talk anything and everything guillotine on this pod. So I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I hope it's informative for you, not only for our guillotine leagues, but for others that you're in. And, hopefully next week we'll see you join us tomorrow for our standard pod that we do Tuesday nights, hosted by our good buddy Scott, Ludes for Sale. And please check us out on our website at theballsvillegame.com. We got a lot of cool content on there for you guys. So again, until next week, we'll see you then. All right. Y'all have a great night.